We're back,
Because it's
guys.
February, that's the month after January. Who's ready to talk about the staggering amount of films that came out in February? Oh, so it's only two. But we can find out which one was first and which one was second, aka last. Drum roll, actually no drum roll. It's this one. This one, unfortunately. Now I say unfortunately not because I don't want this film to be good. I have nothing against Bring Them Down or the actors in it or anyone actually involved in making it or just Irish farmers in general. It's more just that I really wanted Brave New World to be better than it was. And the ongoing rivalry between farmers Michael and Jack suddenly escalates. It triggers a chain of events that take increasingly violent and devastating turns. Both families permanently altered. Now, if you saw the trailer, I'm sure you're like, okay, so it's farmers, there's sheep, there's people doing stuff. It sounds very rural. You might be thinking rural's not a genre. The genre of this film might be mystery. Who is because that's what's going on, basically. That's the whole inciting incident. Who's doing it? But that's not the case. This movie definitely feels, in weird ways, more like a western, just in how lawless it is, over a mystery film. Because this isn't a mystery. Like, you kind of know straight up who is doing the act and what's going on. There's nothing really to uncover in that way. You get halfway into the film thinking, how is there another half of this film? And that's because the film is doing a bit of a dual flip perspective thing where you kind of get to the end of the film in the middle of the film and then you start the film again, but this time from a different perspective. And you're either going to have two reactions, and you're either going to be like, oh, we're doing this, okay. Or you're going to be like, oh, we're doing this, okay. You know, so it kind of just depends if that's something that you like or don't like. And that's going to really be a make or break for you with this film, I feel like. I saw a lot of people saying things like, the whole second half isn't interesting because there's no suspense. You kind of know what's happened already because we just watched it. The second perspective isn't really to like uncover new things in this mystery, which you finally get at the end. Like I said, it's not that kind of film. You kind of uncover more things about the characters. You kind of understand the reasons for why these people are doing these seemingly senseless acts. And it all starts to make a little bit more sense. Because at first, you watch the first half and you get, okay, I know everything that's happened here, but I don't really know why or certain characters' motives, and everyone kind of seems just straight up weird. Like Barry Keoghan's in this film, and spoiler alert, but you knew this already. He's playing a creepy little weirdo. But even when you get that flip perspective, you realize, no, this isn't just a killing of the sacred deer kind of character. Hopefully that's a good example. I've not seen that film. But there is actually depth to these people. The person who plays his father in this film, I don't necessarily side with them anymore, but they at least start to feel a little bit more like real people.
I think what I'm trying to say is that in the first half, it's not that you don't know what's happening, it's more that you just don't know why it's happening. I don't know why I couldn't get those words out, but I think I'm about to make up for it with something really articulate, so.
Pushing out this nasty energy, and you're just like, why? It's a really slow burn, but when it does burn hot. Like it will warm you up enough. You know, you'll feel satisfied. And it's not got like a great score, but it's got like a a necessary score. It really just builds up. It's one of those things where it's building up that sort of pressure, and it's a pressure cooker film. It really does just kind of show her like the results of these films seem so extreme, but they're all kind of by relatively normal people. Like some of a few screws loose, sure, but it's all just cause and reaction. And then once you see the beginning of the film, you kind of realize that this isn't the start, and that the whole narrative and the whole sort of connection between the characters we know in the story is all very Ouroboros like, just an Ouroboros film of ego, and like all of it could be avoided so easily. Like, all of the events of this film could be avoided so easily, just a conversation. But people can't put their egos to rest, and family histories and little things there and little words there and little looks over there, and they all just don't like each other. And in a place that feels so lawless and rural like this area, those things can just really boil over and get to the point where it really is petty grievances to the extreme. It really is characters who like do the things you wish, or you at least think you wish you did after a feud. Like you'll leave a feud sometimes and you go, I wish I did this, I wish I did that. But then maybe even if you got given the chance to go back, you still wouldn't do those things because maybe those things are insane. In this movie, people do those things. It works out with its final shot. It works out with somewhat like the symbolic imagery between our two main characters. I don't think the film was too long either, so it's a pretty digestible ride. It's pretty violent, I'll say that. More than I expected, I think, sometimes. I gave it a 3.5 out of 10 on Letterboxd, and my Letterboxd review was, Mom, Barry Keoghan's being a freaky little weirdo again, which he is, and he does do that. I think there's a lot more stuff coming out in March that I probably will end up going to see, so maybe that one will bear more fruit. I don't... So far, though, if I had to compare February's best film that I saw, bring them down to last month's best film that I saw, which was what? a real pain. January still takes the win there. So in this sort of King of the Court thing, January would be moving on. Good for you, January. Good for you.
Will it still be the best after March though?